Live streaming is on.
Is it?
Yeah,
Are we
man.
live?
Like nobody gets that joke, but we just think it's the funniest thing ever. Yes, we are live. Hey, everybody. 5 people watching already. Look out.
Hi,
Look
all
out.
5 of yous. Live streaming is on.
All right.
I like the title of the show on weelikedrinking.com/show. No guest.
Did I take the time to write that? Cool. Hey, Jeff McKinney.
Hi, Jeff McKinney. The chat box says invalid parameters. Let me try this again.
Oh, what? If I could do anything right these days, let me go check it.
I mean, I don't think it's on you, bro.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, it's probably on you.
Everything's Eccles' fault.
Most likely.
The fact that I'm crinkling leftover Halloween candy paper on the show is your fault.
My fault. I didn't mute you in time. All right, let me check. Let me check the code. All right, so iframe. Yep. Oh, got it. Got it. So, all right, do a control F5 there, Salman?
You mean reload it?
Yeah.
Next time, just say click the circle thingy. Control F5.
Either they click in the circle thing. It's cacao.
The chat is on.
Chat's working. All right. So if you are on welikedrinking.com/show watching the show, the chat may not be functioning right now. You may have to control F5 or click the circle or whatever you do on a fucking Mac.
Your Surface Pro.
Yeah. Then I don't know. You spin around and tap it with your nose or something. I don't know how those Macs work.
Tap it with your nose. What are you talking about? Tap it with your nose?
Is that not a Mac thing?
Why would you tap it with your nose?
You
have the name of this episode before we start.
Tap it with your nose.
Tap it with your nose. Tap.
Just give it a tap
with your nose.
Nose.
Well, we were talking about proboscis monkeys before the show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
This is gold right here. This should really just become what the show is.
Hey, everybody watching, maybe announce yourselves. Announce yourselves, I said, please.
All right. With your nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
With your nose? John, you're doing wine, beer, pop culture.
Yes, I am.
All right. You guys got anything before we get started here?
I need to get rid of these sniffles, man.
Hold on. I haven't done hold on.
This is Brian Roth from the This Is Why I'm Drunk blog. You're listening to the We Like Drinking podcast, where you never drink alone.
Okay. Is that a Modelo?
Is it?
Oh, it looks like it also looks like a Ballast Point.
It's bottom shot.
This is Brian Roth from the This Is Why I'm Drunk blog. You're listening to the We Like Drinking podcast, where you never drink alone.
At the sound of the tone, the official We Like Drinking time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
Banana. 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 2, 3, 4.
This week on episode 252 of the We Like Drinking podcast, we'll be discussing wine in space. Alcohol consumption versus meat versus smoking. And
What forces you to get out of bed in the middle of the night to take a leak?
so crack open your beer, uncork that wine, and let's get drinking. 252 episodes. We still have problems getting the show started. Thanks
Are
for
we
getting the
gonna
show
have
notes.
to have like a staff meeting about how not to shit all over the intros? Jesus.
Thanks for the opening show notes there, Solomon.
Sorry.
Yeah. Cheers, my podcast drinking friends, and welcome to Happy Hour 252 of your favorite award-winning topical beer and wine education podcast, focusing on fun and not following directions. How you doing, gentlemen?
All right, but you said topical, but I ingest. So there's never mind.
Oh, Lord. And I just want to give a quick shout out to everybody who is watching live at welikedrinking.com/show, as we do every Wednesday night around 7:30-ish Pacific. Special shout out to Jeffrey McKinney, who is watching us live this week. What's up, man?
Jeff McKinney's watching the show. All right. It's always nice when he doesn't have to work on a Wednesday night. You got to let us know what you're drinking, though, Jeff. So by now, you've realized, we don't have good show notes to start the show off. We interrupt each other. John's finished his first beer already. So you can't miss an episode of this shit. So visit welikedrinking.com/subscribe to make sure you never miss another episode of this podcast gold. All right. You keep hearing us talking. What, John?
That was just my bottle opener saying
number 2.
Number 2.
Let's find out who we're drinking with. We're joined by our usual panel members. We have our California Sustainable Wine Growing Ambassador and recovering wine blogger, Jeff Solomon.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I have the sniffles.
We have our commercial brewer and snake wrangler, John Ruyak.
Yeah, number 2.
And I am your host and certified specialist of wine, Jeff Eccles. No guest this evening. It's not a drinking episode. It's one of the golden episodes. It's just us. So prepare yourselves. Jeff Solomon.
Yeah.
You said it wasn't a drinking episode.
It's not a structured drinking episode.
Oh,
There's no theme, bro.
Oh, all right.
Of course, we're drinking. I mean, it's what we like to do. Solomon, what's in your glass?
Oh, hey. Let me tell you what's in my glass, but let me also give you a little rant to start the show. In my glass right now, as I was pouring it, like Ruyak thought it was Modelo and Eccles thought it was Ballast Point. This is Heretic Brewing Company out of Fairfield, California. Fairfield, where the 80 meets the 680. Everybody knows that. Fairfield. This is their Make America Juicy Again New England style IPA. There's some weird like devil looking dude there. as they have on all their bottles and cans. And here I have this hazy, juicy IPA. Now, this is a perfectly fine beer, but I don't want to talk about the beer. I need to talk about this style for a second. And I feel like we're all to blame in this, but this madness has got to stop. Kara and I went out to lunch today at this beautiful, like, plant-based gastropub. It was all vegetarian food and like a nice beer selection until I look at the beer list. And there's all these like great breweries that are listed there. There were 12 IPAs on the list, and 8 of them were hazy. 8! 66% of the IPAs on this list were hazy. Can we fucking stop? Can we stop this bullshit? Like, I swear to you, every once in a while I'm okay with a hazy IPA, but like, I even go back to our hazy IPA episode, and one of the first things that John says is, they really shouldn't call it an IPA because it's not. It's just a different style of beer. Like, I long for the days of like a crystal clear as a bell looking beer that was like hopped till your brains fell out. Like, can we just get back to that? Like, I'm sorry. I don't need my beer to taste like orange juice. I just don't need it.
You don't know how many posts I see, especially from Ryan Hannigan, where he posts a picture of a glass of beer like you have there and says beer or orange juice.
It's just obnoxious. It's I'm so mad. And I've done that too in the tavern before, by the way. I say beer mimosa. But
yeah. Oh yeah, yes, okay. John.
What's up?
What are you drinking?
It's a
exactly.
Fucking juicy again. And by the way, no, that's not what we need to do. Less juice. By 2020, I think they're gonna get rid of those cans.
Like, then stop buying it.
I didn't. I sent my wife to the store. I said, give me a nice IPA. This is what she came back with. This is insane. This is more prevalent than teens vaping.
What did I say before that?
I wish you called it. You called it, Eccles.
I wish there was some sort of like weird mystery lung disease that people would get when they drink hazy IPAs so we could just get rid of this shit. San Francisco will be the first to ban hazies. Just wait. It'll happen.
Yeah, that's the truth. So how is it, Jeff?
It's good. It's juicy. It's citrus forward. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cloudy. It's fine. It's a perfectly fine beer. It's just like, I don't know. Sometimes I just like to have an IPA and not have to fucking sift through this. And like half of the IPAs that don't even say like hazy or juicy on it, they're cloudy anyways because they're like, oh, people like it that way now. No, I don't. Give me a crystal clear beer. How about that? How about take some pride in your work for once?
Oh, wow.
We're just going to throw some shit in there.
All right.
All that matters is how it looks. And I know that beer is this weird thing where like all the categories are really based on how they look. Is it an amber? Is it a brown? Is it a pale? But like, flavor is what really matters here. And like, I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm done.
Again, but then stop buying them and stop promoting
I
them.
didn't buy it. I mean, she used my credit card. I guess I paid for it. I don't know.
When you were at said restaurant, did you order a hazy?
No, but it took me a long time. It took me a long time to be able to find one that wasn't. Oh, God. God damn it. What are you guys drinking?
Let's see. I'll go next. I'm a little throwback to a previous episode. I have the Silver Trident 27 Fathoms Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon 2015 going on here, and it is freaking delicious. I can't see through it very well, but not because it's hazy, because it's purple.
Nice.
And it's delicious. John,
So it's not purple hazy, huh?
Mm-mm. I don't like that beer, by the way. I'm not a fan of the purple haze.
Anyway,
I
I was thinking Jimi Hendrix, but
I know.
So I just want to
Excuse
say,
me while I kiss this guy. Dare. Sorry.
it's Kiss
Did
the
you
Sky. Anyway,
did you say kiss this guy?
That's what
everybody thinks
right?
he said. No, it's not what he said.
Nobody thinks he says that by the that's called a straw man right there. There's a bathroom on the right.
Yeah, San Francisco won't ban hazy IPAs until people put hypodermic needles in them. Anyway,
Jesus.
Oh my god! Wow.
Speaking of IPAs, I'm having a 2019 Sierra Nevada Celebration Fresh Hop IPA, and guess what? I can see through mine. I can see through mine. Are you jealous? Are you jealous, Solomon? I can see through mine.
Yeah, I am.
This one, the Sierra Nevada changes the recipe a little bit every year, and this one's got Chinook, Cascade, and Centennial in it. And I have to say, I'm not quite as happy with this one as I have been in other years, but it's still freaking delicious.
Excellent.
Nice. Hey,
Jeff
John,
Solomon.
I'm sorry. I have a question for John here. Does Lizard Tail make a hazy IPA?
We do not.
See,
It hasn't really caught on in Albuquerque. There's only one brewery in Albuquerque that actually makes them.
but like,
Do you
here's
make
the
a-
other thing.
A hard seltzer.
Ooh, like if a brewery
That's
makes
fighting words.
if a brewery makes a hazy, I guess I'm okay with that. But what's up with these breweries doing like series of hazies and they're all the exact same thing? I'm talking to you, Alvarado Street, and I know you got some good cred, but I'm sick of your shit. Make a clear beer. Sorry.
I think there's a brewery here in Colorado Springs that I think on the shortest night of the year, would be December 21st, they're releasing 3 stouts.
Nice.
There you go. That's what I'm
I know where I'll
talking
be.
about.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on what we're drinking, Jeff? You got any other soapboxes to kick or jump up on?
Make America juicy again? Like that? Come on. Come on.
Maja, man.
America,
Maja.
America was never juicy. What's this juicy?
Make a baseball hat that looks like an orange peel on top.
Does that mean we're going back like 15 years? We're all gonna wear like sweatpants that say juicy on the bottom?
Hey, I seem to walk around every now and then, and there's a lot of females that are proclaiming that things are juicy. So maybe America was juicy at some point.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we just crossed the line. So let's get into
Wine, beer, or pop culture reference. You know the drill. I'm going to give these guys a term, and they're going to try to guess whether it's got something to do with wine, something to do with beer, or something to do with some weird pop culture reference that isn't related to one of Jeff Solomon's last name of his last friend or whatever.
The name of my last friend.
Yeah, the last name of a friend. Anyway.
the last one standing. It's a new reality.
This week's term is the Crabtree effect. The Crabtree effect. All right. Who should go first?
John,
I think
can you-
Eccles should go
Oh,
first.
all right.
Can I what?
Can you
What?
spell it?
THE. Second word, CRABTREE. Third word, EFFECT. The Crabtree effect.
Oh, see, I
Crab
thought it was affect with an A. That would have been fucked up.
Like an affectation?
Yeah.
No.
That changes everything. I am going to say that the Crabtree effect. Who was the teacher's name? There was this Mrs. Crabtree was a character on some show, I think, or wasn't she? Was it,
Yes.
Leave It to Beaver?
No. Andy Griffith's show.
Andy Griffith. Okay. So I'm going to say that the Crabtree effect is a pop culture reference, and it is what happens to your eyes when you watch too much black and white television. Going back to the Andy Griffith show, the Crabtree effect. It's in.
We can do it. We can do it. Come on, all at the same time.
No, we got to delay. It's gonna.
And just got banned from YouTube.
Jeff McKinney says it's a Little Rascals reference. So there, and he's drinking bourbon.
Ooh, there you go. On the Rocks.
So
I think it's going to be a space thing, but I'll stick with my whatever.
Okay, pop culture reference for Eccles. Solomon, what do you think about the Crabtree effect?
The Crabtree effect, and this is very painful for me to talk about this. The Crabtree effect is that thing where a football team is down by 4 points and it's first and goal at the opponent's 5 and there's less than a minute left. The Crabtree effect is when that team calls 4 straight pass plays from the 5-yard line. You watch enough football, you'll see this happen at least once a year. But it seems like it almost always happens in big games when coaches who think that they actually matter start getting afraid. And they just end up making shitty calls. And it's called the Crabtree effect because the 49ers were 4 points away from getting into the Super Bowl, and they had the ball first and goal on the Seahawks 5. And they thought the best thing to do was to have Colin Kaepernick throw 4 straight fades to the back corner of the end zone to Michael Crabtree when Richard Sherman was defending him. And so after the 4th time, when Richard Sherman bats the ball up in the air and it ends up getting intercepted to end the game, I believe the quote from Sherman afterwards was, when you challenge me with a sorry-ass receiver like Michael Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get. The Crabtree effect. It's that thing where football teams don't run it when they should. The Crabtree effect.
I will say congratulations to Jeff Solomon for keeping his wine, beer, or pop culture reference under 7 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
I thought Eccles, you were going to say the Crabtree effect is when young kids fall in love with their teachers. Anyway, because Mrs. Crabtree was Opie's teacher on the Andy Griffith show.
Yeah.
No, the Crabtree effect is a beer term.
What?
It's named for Herbert Crabtree, who was actually doing research on cancer tumors back in the 1800s. And it's what beer yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, actually produces alcohol in an aerobic environment. So it goes into a metabolism which actually goes against the normal rules of bacterial or yeast activity, where instead of doing respiratory metabolism, they're doing anaerobic metabolism, which creates alcohol, and they do it in a nutrient-rich environment. And what they're actually going against nature for most other microorganisms. Most microorganisms will do anaerobic metabolism only after the oxygen has run out, whereas beer yeast actually does it in an oxygen-rich environment. That's the Crabtree effect. The Crabtree effect.
I'd love to pick your brain more as to why we would deduce that they do that. Like what's the reason why they start?
It's unique to like 5 different genus of yeast: Saccharomyces, Brettanomyces, and a couple of others, where all other yeasts, practically all other yeasts, will only do anaerobic type of metabolisms when the oxygen runs out. Beer yeast doesn't do that. They absorb the oxygen and they use that for reproduction, but they actually do the metabolism of carbohydrates into alcohol at the same time.
That is very cool.
It is kind of neat. The only other places that don't do it are like deep sea organisms, where they have that weird like thermal respiration or whatever they're doing down on those volcanic vents in the middle of the ocean or whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, it's a pretty cool thing.
And by the way,
cancer cells do that too, actually.
Oh, okay. By the way, Jeff McKinney got it right as well. He said it was a beer thing, and he also insists that Mrs. Crabtree is a Little Rascals character.
I'll take his word for it. Thank you.
Whatever.
All right.
Anyway.
Okay. Excellent work, John. Way to take it to another level with the Crabtree effect.
Science. We like drinking pot. Science.
So let's do some more of that and get into some. This is going to be a fun one tonight. Let's get into some booze news. We discuss interesting, noteworthy, or sometimes some pretty silly things. You know, I think it was last week we had to end up skipping booze news. So we're going to give you a whole crap ton of it this week. Let's take it to the limit, Jeff Solomon, and start with you.
Yeah. So hey,
limit.
NASA just sent up a payload to the International Space Station known as the Complex Microbiological System. The Complex Microbiological System. Why would we bring it up on the We Like Drinking podcast? Because the Complex Microbiological System, which looks like, as John Ruyak says, a Xerox machine, is in fact a case of 12 bottles of red wine. 12 bottles of red wine, which shall not be touched by the astronauts on the International Space Station. I mean, they'll touch it. They just can't drink it. They're going to remain closed. And after a year, we will be examining the difference between these bottles that were up in space as opposed to 12 identical bottles that spent the entire time on Earth, all at 18 degrees Celsius, give or take 2 degrees Celsius, to see the impacts of space and microgravity and radiation on the aging of wine. Are you guys excited about this or what?
It's very interesting. Nowhere could we find who actually made the wine. You think it was maybe a case of Petrus?
I would imagine that what you do is you go to the wine business website and you go to the bulletin board, people selling wine in bulk, and you just go from the exact same tank. Just 12 bottles for space, 12 bottles for here. Then again, with all the money that goes into, I mean, you're sending it to space. You may as well get some good wine, right?
Right?
Well, I always go back to a line from what was that movie with Bruce Willis where they blow up the asteroid?
Armageddon.
Armageddon. And they're sitting and they're ready to go up, and the Steve Buscemi character says, "Here we are, 1 million moving parts, all built by the lowest bidder."
So why? Like, what do they? I'm not saying why do this. I'm asking what is it they're looking to learn from this?
I am so glad that you asked, because a lot of times what happens here is we learn of these different investigations and we go, well, why are people even bothering doing this? And just from the broader perspective, what matters is that there's a question that exists that we're trying to answer. So the big thing is, what are the effects of space and radiation and microgravity on wine being able to age? Now, why would we want to figure this stuff out? From the perspective of NASA, if you're thinking about future long duration space missions where you're going to have to store foods for long periods of time, there's a lot to be learned in terms of, do nutrients degrade over time? Does flavor continue to last over time? And so they are going to be getting some insights through that. As far as applications on Earth, you could be talking about food storage in general, and obviously you could be talking about the wine industry in general, because you can extrapolate out these different conditions. If you're talking about radiation from space, I mean, there are sources of radiation that exist on Earth, be it ultraviolet light, be it heat, that you would want to be able to limit. So understanding those things as well, but also just knowing more about how a complex beverage like wine ages over time. It can only be of a benefit to the wine industry and its consumers.
Okay. So how does it say, like, the methodology they're going to use for the comparison when they get it back? Is it a taste test, or are they like breaking it down to like a molecular level, or is this really just an expensive
Oh man, here we go. Operational requirements and protocols. ComU BioS studies the impact of radiation and microgravity on wine components, such as polyphenols, crystals, and colloids in the course of the dynamic aging processes that take place during long-term storage in the bottle. 12 bottles in 2 sets of 6 are to be launched to the International Space Station in passive configuration. Once on ISS, the 2 sets of 6 bottles are integrated in 2 dedicated enclosures launched together with these bottles. 2 enclosures, blah, 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 blah. Okay, during the storage phase, the payload requires no crew member attention. Temperature data is automatically logged. They're eventually returned back to Earth, where they are opened, analyzed, and compared to the ground controls. It doesn't say how they're being analyzed and compared here. I'm so sorry.
Is NASA hiring a sommelier?
So look, we all know that big hulking wineries and breweries have labs and have chemists in Primas that run all like the vitals, things like pH, things like acidity. So all those things are being taken into account. I think it would be ridiculous for them to not also have a few super taster sommeliers also going through and blind tasting them. They're not listing that out here. I'm sure if we dug deeper into it, we can get those answers. But that's not explicitly mentioned here in this abstract. My apologies, sir.
No worries.
I would, however, like to volunteer because I'm pretty close
Right?
I'm pretty close to like the Bay Area NASA setup. So
I just like one of the bottles and I'll just sell it. Because I imagine that you could get a pretty penny for that bottle.
For an unlabeled shiner.
That was in space. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a bunch
it's
of those. It's gonna
right?
be like it'll be like the Thomas Jefferson bottle.
Right. You guys probably don't have the answer to this, but has there been any studies on the effect of alcohol on the human being in space? Like, have they ever actually?
I don't think they want to take that chance.
I betcha. I mean, we've flown chimps to space, right?
Yeah, I'm sure they've done it to animals. I'm sure there's been some hammered meese in space.
Hammered meese.
Some
Lots
mouse.
of hammered pigs in space.
But I wonder if there's ever been any studies of alcohol on the human body in space. Not that I would expect it to be any different, other than.
Well, they say it. You get drunk quicker at high altitude. Holy shit!
Which you do. You've probably done that experiment before, Ruyak.
So here's the thing. Open alcohol containers are not allowed on the International Space Station due to impacts their compounds can have on the station's water recovery system. So there's that.
Because they don't want to. They'll re-drink their pee, but not if it's had alcohol in it.
Yeah. Okay. Alcoholic drinks are generally disallowed in spaceflight, but space agencies have previously allowed its consumption. NASA has been stricter about alcohol consumption than the Roscosmos, which I think are the Russians.
Is anybody surprised by that?
And their drink of choice was vodka. Shocking.
Astronauts and cosmonauts are restricted from being intoxicated at launch, which I think is always good. Despite restrictions on consumption, there have been experiments in making and keeping alcoholic drinks in space. So there's that.
Does that mean
effects on
brewing,
human
or does,
physiology
like,
have not been effects on human physiology have not been researched. Beer and other carbonated drinks are not suitable for space flights. They could cause quote unquote wet burps. This is the greatest thing. Everybody, what you need to do is just go to Wikipedia, alcohol and space flight, and just have some fun. Open up a nice juicy IPA and get to read.
Get some wet burps on. Okay. All right. Anything else on that, John? Did you have any questions on that?
I had a couple of questions. You talked about the implication for taste, because we were talking about taste, long-term storage of food. So you would almost, I think that answers our own question about tasting it. They must have some super tasters, sommeliers, comparing, blind comparing them, right? What are the difference you taste here, and here, and in blind tests. The other thing is we were talking about the implications for medicines, whether that be vaccinations or whatever. And if you're talking about liquids, I guess I've seen a doctor or a nurse shake up an ampule before they load it up in a syringe and shoot in the arm with it, but aren't most medicines colloidal suspensions where they really oughtn't to separate out? even especially in microgravity, right?
I
A
think
colloidal
that's-
suspension being like milk, where milk doesn't separate, orange juice does. That's not a colloidal suspension, but milk, homogenized milk, is a colloidal suspension. The globules of milk exist in between the molecules of water, and they don't settle out. Ionic suspensions being salt water, where, well, the ions dissociate and are dissolved, whatever, that kind of thing.
if something is by nature like a lipid, like some sort of like steroid or something like that, you would have to shake it up. Why do I know so much about steroids? Check the physique, bro.
Right. So,
I mean, you shouldn't have to shake those up. I think that's why they put all the mercury in it, right?
Well, yeah. And the
all right.
what's the other stuff? The arsenic.
Right.
Yeah.
But I guess for the aging of the wine or the changing of the taste, I mean, you're shooting something up, and I think high gravity in a takeoff is 7 Gs. Did that container that they sent the thing up in reduce the effect of G force on the bottles themselves, or they stored upright, upside down, wherever? You would think that sediment in the bottle, because sediment is not a colloidal suspension, it settles out right to the bottom of the bottle. Does that sediment, we were talking about this before the show, does that sediment redistribute in the liquid in a non-gravitational environment, a microgravitational environment, or does the effect of adhesion, like molecules sticking to each other, keep the sediment stuck in the bottom of the bottle? All kinds of stuff that they have to think about when they're doing this stuff. I mean, you're talking about shooting something up at what's orbital speed? 17,500 miles an hour.
So
and then you're falling back through the atmosphere to get it back.
I really do want to dig deeper into the methods. So by that account, shouldn't they, with the controlled group that's on Earth, throw it in a centrifuge for like a couple days to at least mimic takeoff?
You would think. I mean, if you're going to do side-by-side comparisons on that kind of stuff in a sedimentary, it's a complex biological liquid, right? But it's got free-floating stuff in it. And
what if it turns out that there's all these differences and it all had to do with takeoff?
But it's an interesting thought there, John. But when I think of I'm making some assumptions here, right? That the wine it's probably fine. It's been clarified. It's a fine.
Is it filtered?
Filtered.
But then what's the point if it's filtered? If it's just a completely, I don't want to say sterile, but what's the point of doing it?
There's still going to be tannins. There's still going to be that nice methyl hexyl chicken wire.
Right. But the tannins and what falls out in suspension in wine is not because it's floating in the liquid. It's a result of time and the tannin molecules combining together until
But Jeff, time and space are the same thing, right? Why do they combine over time? Because these molecules are moving, right? And so the more you're moving, eventually you end up bumping into each other. But if you speed up that bumping, you speed up that adhesive property.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what G-force is, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So
really, it's like, by the way,
inspect the bottles when they get them up there. They should really take a look at the bottles and see what's happening.
They should. I bet. What if all the bottles are cracked?
Well, it's possible. Think about it. Glass is a super cooled liquid. So the certain aspects of the glass are going to be thinner in different parts and maybe thicker on the bottom, right?
Yeah. They better not have brought up champagne. Would be a
they
bad
said, no,
idea.
bubbles don't work.
They
But,
were
you know,
they were studying bubble effects. So
well, you know, it's the other thing. You know, the air gap in the neck of the bottle. Does that disappear? I mean, that's actual. That's matter in there, right? It's a gas. It's probably mostly carbon dioxide and a little bit of oxygen. Does that fill up? Does all that stuff dissolve?
It's a
That's
pressurized
weird.
environment, John. That shouldn't matter.
Well, true. You say that, but
But you never know.
you never know, man.
You never know. And that's why you do it.
there you go. That's the why. All right. Anything else on that, guys?
That was actually super interesting to me. I hope listeners, I hope you enjoyed that. Listeners watching live.
It
Let
really
me know.
was like we should get NASA on the show because I would really like to talk to somebody about this. That
We
they can
should.
provide answers.
And our friend Jeffrey McKinney, who is watching live right now, was also bringing up how NASA recently was studying two twins, like one in space and one on Earth, and
Right.
was wondering whether or not alcohol was involved in that. You know, there's a
I'm sure the one on the ground had some.
Were they both chewing double mint gum at the same time?
Okay.
that's one long tandem bicycle. That's all I'm saying.
All right, let's move on from fascinating to not. All right, so that was great, Jeff. Thanks for bringing that up. The title of our next article really says all we need to know about it. It is titled, Alcohol Consumption Will Soon Follow Smoking and Meat Eating in Becoming a Social Evil. Secondary, the number of units people drink is declining, consuming less may soon become a badge of honor in the same way not smoking or not eating meat have become. So this article talks about how there was somebody that's making like an alcohol-free gin. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh wow.
That could actually legally even be a thing. But anyway, they said that alcohol will soon go the way of meat and cigarettes, and that's what kind of spawned this article, this opinion piece. I don't know if we could call it an article. It's but anyway, you know, she talks about how, you know, we're continuing to see declines in alcohol consumption, and that when they talk to the younger people of today, the younger generation, I'll quote here, almost 20% of 25 to 34-year-olds say they don't eat meat, with a third of those under 35 saying they are looking to eat less meat in the next 12 months, which I think they're probably going to start working out more in the next 12 months as well. But anyway, so it goes on. And John, what did you like about this one? What was the term that she was decrying?
I'm a proud flexitarian.
A flexitarian. So someone who
normally has a meatless diet, but sometimes delves into it.
Still likes to take a little hit off the meat sauce.
I'm a proud flexitarian.
Oh,
goes on to say that smoking and eating are fast becoming the social ills of the 21st century, and looks like alcohol consumption might be joining them. Then she goes on to speak of how she might do it in the future, but who knows if she will or not. Anyway, not a lot else really talk about that, but I was just, you know, it's an interesting thing. It's really, we seem to be at this is a hot topic right now. The non-alcoholic drinks, not mocktails, but actual drinks built to be alcohol-free bars. all this push towards zero ABV drinks and lifestyle. So I thought this would be good to talk about the show, because maybe we can just end the show now, because we don't like drinking or eating or anything else. So interesting to get your take on this. Is alcohol consumption going to soon be the same thing as smoking, and apparently meat eating as a social evil? John.
We talked, we discussed the stories before the show, and what direction you just think this will go in. And I was reading this story while we were kind of prepping and stuff, and I know it, regardless of what your position is on anything, when you read something that goes even slightly against, or maybe a little bit contrary to your own personal beliefs, and it sounds like someone's being preachy, it just kind of pisses you off.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that I like the term flexitarian, I mean, no, I'm not going to put my right leg behind my head while I eat a buffalo chicken wing.
Please, for the love of God, don't do that. And if you do, don't
take a picture. Don't take a picture. Well, my hip would break. But, I think a couple things. There was a study done a long time ago about people at parties, and people that don't drink at parties are looked at askance. People don't trust people who do drink don't trust people that don't.
Snitches get stitches.
Well, it's not snitches get stitches.
I know.
It's like it's you're separating yourself from us. You're not part of the you're not part of the group. I don't want to say part of the in group, but you're not part of the group, or you're not. You feel you have this level of control that you want to assert over us because we're putting ourselves in a vulnerable position by consuming alcohol.
Or it's, oh, you think you're better than me?
Like, yeah, that aspect as well. The other thing is this,
which is the most interesting of them. Why do you automatically assume that if somebody says no, they want to drink, that they assume they're better than you? That precludes that you're doing something not good.
Well, yeah.
and
it's all, and it should be just an even playing field. It's all a personal choice, right?
Right, exactly.
But on the other hand, all this does is drive this wedge into the whole identity thing. This means no one wants to know. We're just driving each other apart with all this identity crap, right? I identify as this, you identify as that, and the meat eaters are going to be here, and the non-meat eaters are here, and the smokers and the non-smokers, and the drinkers and the non-drinkers, and the don't cross against the reds against the cross against the reds on the sidewalk. All this. It's just it's identity crap, and where do we meet if we keep separating ourselves like this?
Yeah, man.
I didn't know that there were people out there that went like, I would never cross at a red. I'm way better than that. So it's interesting.
I cross in the middle of freaking blocks and go across and stand in the middle of the median and hope I don't get hit by cars coming from either direction. But that's just me trying to save time anyway.
You're that one guy. You're that one dude.
Yeah,
so
I am that one guy.
It's interesting to me as you're talking about the perspective of the person who is putting together this piece. They're like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing that in the future. Like that whole like line of thinking. It's like it is, John. You're talking about like I identifying as being this or that. There's this type of person that everybody knows on Facebook. Everybody has at least one friend like this. Unfortunately, I have many friends like this where it's like, they see a picture on Pinterest of a new way to like use bacon to make a Reese's peanut butter cup, and they post it and they go, I'm totally gonna do this. And it's like, fuck you. Shut up. Do it and then talk to me about it.
Right.
Don't tell me what you're planning on doing. Oh, bro, I'm totally not going to drink any more hazies. How about you just don't drink any more hazies? Just shut up and do what you do. So,
But you got to have something to post on social media, man. I mean, that's
no, you don't. That's the other thing. You don't have to post anything.
right.
Is
I
that
could
part
just-
of the problem where we've got all these people declaring what they think they want to do
But-
instead of everybody just going about their business and doing it?
Yes.
Here's the other thing though, right? Like, and I know this is kind of taking this weird tangent. It's like we're all friends, right? And I'm sharing things with you because I like you and I want you to know this stuff. You know what I mean? I want you to know that I'm interested in this one thing, right? I think maybe that's the perspective that people are into. And going back to this part about how, you know, at a party, you know, people who are drinking might not be very trustworthy of the person that's not. And I think it does take a lot for somebody to vocalize how they're feeling about, like, you know, I just don't feel like drinking tonight, or I'm feeling like taking a break, and I'm looking for you as my friends to kind of support me with things like that. You know, I do think, and we've talked about this before, I think it's wonderful that there are alternatives, more and more alternatives becoming available. How many places now have kombucha on tap, which I just love. And by the way, I've had hard kombuchas before. They're not good. Like, no joke. Like, low alcohol kombuchas are low alcohol and delicious for a reason. Anything that gets up over like 3%, don't even bother. Like, it's gross, right? But like, you have like these lower alcohol and no alcohol alternatives. As silly as I think a CBD cocktail might be, right? Because it's like, here you're taking the supplement that has no psychological effect. But to do that, to entice somebody to drink something with no alcohol in it, you know, I think that's neat. And for people to, like, you know, really put their craft into it. That same vegetarian brew pub that I was at today, they had rotating CBD cocktails every single week. It was a different one. And while I, excuse me, while I didn't get that, I just thought it was neat that that was available, you know? And so I think that's the thing that we should really be thinking about. Is alcohol like this the next evil thing? I don't know. It's not vape juice. I got a cough.
Yes. 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 So John and I are laughing right now because let me just give some backstory here. Before Jeff joined the show, Jeff Solomon joined, I was like, do we really want to talk about this alcohol consumption thing? And I was like, well, I guess the one good thing is that if we talk about this alcohol consumption, Jeff Solomon's at least going to mention vape juice again. So that's why we're getting such a kick out of
Hey man, vape juice. It's the next smoked whale testicles.
Yeah, you stole my thunder. God damn it.
yeah, you know, and like the thing, I don't know. I mean, she doesn't say this, you know, because she is, you know, she talks about being a flexitarian, so she's trying to eat less meat, but she still enjoys meat, right? I mean, it's this extremist mentality of I mean, comparing smoking to drinking and meat eating is like, to me, it's such a freaking stretch. I mean, I can see some comparisons between, I guess, smoking and alcohol. I mean, they both are fucking horrible on your body, right? They're not good things for you, but the consumption of meat, that was more of and that's, if you went to the comments, it was all about, fuck you, lady, I'm meat eater. You know, it was mostly about that comparison, but I don't know. I think what we'll see more of is a continued push to moderation and moderate consumption, and trying to get away from this. As every generation comes up, there's this binge drinking problem. And God, I definitely had issues with that in my past, and I think it's having a better relationship with alcohol, especially when you're younger, is where I could see us going, and being a smarter consumer of alcohol, rather than just it's going to become a social evil and you're going to be ostracized for doing it.
Yeah.
Just talk about the fact that there's more flavor in this one bottle than there is in a case of Busch Light, right? I mean, if we're talking about moderating and lowering our alcohol consumption, but choosing better options, more flavorful options, things that are giving you more to think about, and truthfully, more to think about and experience than just the alcohol that's dissolved, that's part of the liquid.
And that's where I see us going. Less meat consumption, that's definitely happening. Less alcohol consumption, but better alcohol, or a better cocktail or a better drink overall, is where I see us going. Not that it's going to be related to smoking. I mean, I don't see the tie-in that this author does.
Yeah. You know what I do find odd, though, and I'm just throwing this out there, like, as much as, like, we all like frown on cigarettes as a society, right?
And
even
juice.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, even folks vaping, like, look down on like cigarette smokers. I still find it interesting how glamorized cigars are in our culture, because like, honestly, like, I think cigars are disgusting. And it's like, and like, don't get me wrong, because like, you could give me a dry cigar and I could smell it, and like, I can see like, oh, that's like awesome, there are like some really nice flavors there. I don't want this hot load of shit in my mouth now. And it's not good for you. It's just kind of, it's interesting to kind of see that dynamic as well. I think the thing is, like, as long as the focus is on flavor, like, we like drinking. This show is not we like drinking alcohol to get drunk. It's we like drinking, right? Like, we like these fermented products, and you don't hear us talk much about, I'm so stoked that the alcohol is this high and I'm looking forward to getting buzzed. Like, that's not what it's about. It's about flavors, and it always kind of has been, right? And I think that so long as you're taking that like healthy perspective, I don't know how you could ever say like, oh, this is this evil thing. It's definitely not the next cigarettes, and not even close to the next vape juice. But
I have caught a nice buzz 252 Wednesdays in a row.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
All right. Anything else on that, guys?
No. Nah.
All right.
Except, but cigars could be like half the size, because a good cigar tastes really nice.
The worst part about a cigar is when you have like an inch and a half left, and you're like, but I spent so much on it, but I feel like shit. What am I gonna do? And then somebody goes, oh, bro, just save the rest for later. And then you've got this like shitty, like stinky cigar butt for like 3 months. You're staring at it, you're like, I don't want that. My mouth still feels like leather on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. like the first 10 minutes with a cigar are somewhat enjoyable, and then it just becomes
Oh, it's so refined. Hey,
Yeah.
everybody, let's all slobber on this cigar together. I didn't even enjoy it.
all right. Let's move on to our favorite part of the show. Bum 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 bum.
Oh God, I dropped my phone. I dropped my phone. I don't even know if I won. Did I win last week? I think I won.
You did win.
So that's important.
Okay. There you go. Snake Shark remains in first place with 1 loss. I am in second place alone. Then who cares after that?
I mean, I will say
I do. I think I'm in 5th place, tied.
I scored a butt ton of points this last week.
I scored 1 more point with you. That's all that really matters.
Okay. I believe I'm going up against. I beat Jeremy from the Felton Covered Bridge this last week. This upcoming week, I think I'm going up against Rhea from the Felton Covered Bridge. So I'm stoked to throw down a double San Lorenzo Valley beatdown in 1 week's time. This is going to be awesome.
Jeff, you are 4-5. You're in 9th place. You're going up against I Wine and I Know Things.
Yeah, that's Rhea. Yeah, you're toast.
You're going toast from under the bridge.
That's Jeremy.
Okay.
He's toast.
John, you're going up against Mr. Butt Destiny.
Oh, yeah. Mike Cadavera.
That's enough. Okay.
It's because his favorite player is Jake Butt of the Denver Broncos. That's why it's funny.
That right. You're okay.
Everyone's like, I'm so glad I'm a patron of this show. WeLikeDrinking.com/pledge.
Just wait, there's an after party coming, patrons. Okay. Today is Wednesday, November 6th. This show will release on the 8th. So if you haven't made it to Aldi to get your advent calendar, you're probably too late. Luckily for me, one of our listeners went to Aldi early this morning, 2 hours before they opened, to get in line, and has scored me a wine and a cheese advent calendar for the year.
What?
To go along with my German beer advent calendar. So hang on for December, folks.
Wow.
Are you guys getting a liquor advent calendar this year? You guys really should. We should really make this a thing.
I mean, I guess. Where do I need to go? I don't even know what the hell Aldi is.
Trader Joe's.
Costco. If you have a Costco, they have the beer one. Aldi is a grocery chain. They may not be out there in the California.
I'll go to the Costco.
See if you could get one. John, you should get. They have dry January, right? They have dry October. We should start wet December. Where just the goal is to drink every single night.
That's a Counting Crows song, I believe.
I'm lucky enough. I'll be having a 16.9 ounce beer and a 187 wine to drink every single night in December. Patrons, stay tuned. I'm going to do something for you guys. If all 3 of us do it, we're just going to get together every night. That'll be
wet December, and there's reason to believe maybe this beer will be better than the last.
Let us know if you are doing some form of advent calendar for the month of December so we can follow along with wherever you're doing it. Stubb does a mad advent calendar every year with like 4.
I know. I'm just worried about surviving next week while I do 1 bourbon, 1 shard, 1 beer on Tuesday, both episodes, and then our show on Wednesday.
Awesome. You're going on that show next week?
Next week, yeah.
Excellent. How are the songs looking?
challenging.
Excellent. I cannot wait. Well, if we're talking about those yahoos over at One Bourbon, One Shard, it must be
Last call.
Let's go.
last call. Time to clean house and lock the doors. You know what we do here, folks. So let's get to it. Follow us on the social medias. We're on Twitter as We Like Drinking One. That's number one. We're on Instagram and Facebook as We Like Drinking, or join our private Facebook group known as The Tavern by visiting welikedrinking.com/tavern. You can also leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That's what we would prefer you to do. Search us out there, leave us a 5-star review and a little quote letting us know how much you like the show. You can also visit welikedrinking.com/pledge if you would like to become a patron of the show and give us some money each and every month to help keep the lights on. If you're watching the show, you've seen my lights go off like 8 times. That's when the Patreon funds get a little bit low. So, guys, anything else to add to that?
No, you just like took, I guess you didn't trust either one of us to read any of that stuff this week. So,
Ruyak, you take the next part.
which one's that? You can also find the show notes for the episode with all the links to the stories and mentions we had on that at welikedrinking.com episodes, or if you're on your phone right now, just swipe right. Yeah.
Oh, I need to take that part out. Solomon, how about you take us out?
Yeah, hey, so it's that time. So now I'll say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around the table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the lights. John Ruyak.
So it's time for my annual rant against daylight savings time, or changing back to regular standard time.
I hate it so much.
Why? I mean, I enjoyed the extra hour of sleep. I mean, that was kind of cool, but then I get confused when I see the sun come up at like 6:15 in the morning, and I'm like, oh my God, am I going to be late for work? And then I realized, oh yeah, it's only 6:15. Why do we do this to ourselves? I got to fix my watch. My phone I don't have to worry about. My computer I don't have to worry about. Try changing the clock on your oven or in your car. Why? Why do we do this shit? Nobody else on the planet does it. America, exceptionalism, I believe in it, but we're not special enough to change the fucking clock.
Yeah, man. I don't mind the mornings. It's the evenings I hate. When it's like 4 and it's freaking dark out.
Well, that's natural time. And, we got to make sure the kids are safe when they're coming home from school. I got news for you folks. If you live north of Wyoming, which is everything from like Pennsylvania across to Wyoming and north of that, your kids are coming home after dark when they get out of school in the first place.
Yeah.
Why are we worried about this shit?
Welcome to the We Hate Everything podcast.
That's it. We hate everything. And let's talk about the hot places where we live. I live in New Mexico. You live in Colorado. You live in California. It's fucking hot in the summertime, right?
Yes.
Well, put all that heat in the middle of the day when everybody's at work, instead of when they come home from work and it's still 106 degrees. And then when it's only 90 something, you don't have to run the air conditioner in your house for quite as long.
Yeah.
Jeff Eccles.
I never have anything to say at the end of this. That's why I like to wrap the show up. But I'll just say cheers. I got nothing.
And with that, I'll say thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast, where you never drink alone.
Boom. I really couldn't take myself out there, could I? Really?
What?
Huh?
Well, you said you prompted me to do the wrap up. I wanted to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around the table and get some final thoughts. And then I say, hey, What do I think?
Yeah, man, that's how you do it. All right.
She said, Mama said, the way you move, gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove. That was
Awesome.
that
Join
thing,
us
and
tonight,
stuff and the
everyone.
stuff and thing. Oh yeah. All right. Hi, we like drinking. Thanks for joining the chat.
You mumbled something, Eccles. What was that?
I don't know.
I think he mumbles when he types.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
And another
yeah.
thing, daylight savings time.
Jeff McKinney, we're so glad that you could join us tonight. That was awesome having you here. We're going to end the stream now. I think you can stay in the chat, though, if you want. We can chat a little bit there. But thanks, viewers.
Night. Live streaming is off.